TFL EV is brought to you by Flow Charger, maker of reliable, high-quality charging stations for your electric vehicle. Hey, Tommy, the word on the street is that Tesla may be in trouble.
Yeah, whose word is that there?
Well, there are top 5 reasons that people think that Tesla is potentially in trouble as a company. And in this video, I'm going to name all those 5 reasons. I'm going to give you the reason why I think it is in trouble, and it's not because of these top 5. So should we just delve right into it?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
All right, number 5 on our list of why Tesla may be in trouble is the stock price. What's going on with the Tesla stock price?
Well, we can see over the past month it really has been in a pretty big free fall. And if we look at the 6 month, you can see it peaked, in the last 6 months in the $300 territory. And now we're pretty significantly below that at $111. So it's really been a bad time to have owned Tesla stock. Here's a CNBC article. Tesla stock is headed for its worst month, quarter, and year on record.
Yeah, and of course, stock price doesn't necessarily reflect the health of a company, but it is a good indicator.
It is a good indicator. I think that's a great point. And you can see that it certainly isn't doing super well.
No, okay, that's number 5. Number 4 on my list of why Tesla may be in trouble is there's been a story recently by, I believe it was the New York Times, saying that the shine has finally come off the apple. In other words, for a long time when people thought of electric cars, they thought of one brand and one brand only, and that was Tesla. But now the competition is catching up.
It sure is. Yeah, we have some really, really, really high quality offerings from just about every manufacturer, ranging from the Hyundai Ioniq 5 to the Mercedes EQS. We've got competition like from companies like Rivian, who now have a really competitive truck and SUV. Ford, General Motors, they all have big players in this segment, which in a lot of ways are as good and in some cases better than what Tesla's doing, with some exceptions.
Yeah, I would argue that, let's just get into the weeds a little bit, that the twins from Hyundai and Kia, the EV6, I just test drove the EV6 GT, and the Ioniq 5 actually are as good, if not better, than the Tesla Model Y. They not only do they charge faster because they're built on 800 volt architecture, but they actually look better. And that's, of course, a very subjective thing, but let's face it, the styling on the Tesla Model Y is a little bit polarizing. I'm going to use that word.
Now, Tesla, of course, does have the advantage of the Tesla Supercharger network, which is still a big advantage. But certainly, if you look at the products and the offerings themselves, there are a lot of really great competition in similar prices or in a lot of cases, cheaper price ranges.
All right, let's jump to number 3. We're doing this in TFL descending order, of course. So number 3, there was a story today talking about used car prices. And in general, used car prices are down about 4% over the year over year. However, Tesla used car prices are down 17%, Tommy.
Interesting. Now, that's a pretty big jump.
That's a big jump.
We're talking 4x the industry average there, 4 to 17%, which is really, really interesting. And we'll get into a little bit later why that could be. But what's number 2?
Number 2 is the fact that Tesla is shuttering some of its factories. In other words, they're not building as many cars, specifically the one in Shanghai in China. Tesla says it's shutting down that factory for Chinese New Year, but nevertheless, it could be a sign of weakening demand in China, which is, let's face it, a giant market. Then there's also the question of Tesla's new Berlin factory, which has had a rough start of it, would be an understatement, actually of building and producing Teslas. And of course, now in Texas, they're ramping up for the production of the Cybertruck, hopefully.
Now, this is according to Yahoo Finance here. They said Tesla did not specify a reason for the production slowdown in its output plan. It was also not clear whether work would continue outside the assembly line for Model 3 and Model Y at the plant during the scheduled downtime. It is not established practice for Tesla to shut down operations for an extended period for Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
So what's number 1?
Number 1 is probably the reason that you're all thinking that Tesla might be in trouble, and that is, of course, Mr. Musk's acquisition of Twitter and the fact that he is not minding the shop, so to speak, right? A lot of people, both Tesla fans and the board at Tesla, are worried about the fact that Tesla is now kind of just one of 3 main companies that Musk is heading up: Twitter, Tesla, and of course SpaceX. Now, I don't believe necessarily that might be the case. Of course, there are some stuff that Tesla has not done, but Musk has done himself, and that is get political. We here at TFL don't do politics just for this very reason. We believe in reviewing cars and trucks and not politics. But, Mr. Musk has gotten political, and I think it has hurt not only his brand, but Tesla's brand, because if you read a lot of the news stories, the two are intertwined.
That's a great point. But you think that the reason the company's in trouble is not based on any of those recent articles or stories, it's something else completely.
Yeah, so I've been doing new car reviews now for 12 years, and I have had one thing that I have drilled into everybody's brain here and into my brain as well, and that is that the lifeblood of any car company is a new product. In other words, new cars. And let's face it, the product lineup that Tesla has is now getting beyond old. You could start with the Model S, which had a kind of a slight refresh, but gosh, Tommy, I was at the Detroit Auto Show back in 2009 when that car was unveiled.
I think the first model year for the Model S was right around 2012, but we're still talking about a platform that's 11 years old. Now, as you mentioned, it did go through a slight refresh there along the way, but the basic architecture is going well over 10 years old now.
And the way you can do that is try buying Tesla says that they, don't have any inventory on stock, or they don't say that, but they actually do. So try buying one. Go on their website and see what the current inventory is here in Denver.
Yeah, so you got plenty of Model S's available, certainly even in the Denver area here.
Yeah.
So very, very good point.
That's a sign that maybe the demand for the Model S is not where Tesla would hope it would be. And then the other vehicle that's getting really long in the tooth and has never sold, I don't know why, I love it actually, it's my favorite Tesla, that is the Model X. Now keep in mind, guys, we are speaking as former Tesla owners. We have owned and driven and reviewed long-term the Tesla Model 3, the Model X, and the Model Y. Are there any Model X's available in inventory here in Denver?
I'm sure there are, but let's look. The inventory thing is one of those things which comes and goes pretty quickly on the Tesla website. But let's talk a little bit about how old this vehicle is. I think it debuted some 7 years ago now or so, and this is a vehicle that when it debuted was very, very revolutionary in its segment, but now we're seeing a lot of competition in this luxury SUV space, not only from Rivian, but from BMW with the BMW iX, which is a great car, from Mercedes with the EQS SUV, right? There's a lot of new entrants into the luxury SUV space, which are really going to be pushing and hurting the bottom line of the Model X.
I mean, I'm looking at the inventory in Denver that you were just going through, and I was noticing the numbers. $130,000 is a lot of money for potentially 3-row electric SUV.
Now, the Model 3 is another vehicle which, if you look in the inventory, they're actually out of Model 3s. That could be because, according to the Tesla website, if you take delivery of a new Model 3 or Y between December 21st and 31st, they say you get a $7,500 credit and 10,000 miles of free supercharging. So none in the inventory right now, but the Model 3 is another vehicle which is now going on 4 or 5 years old and hasn't really seen significant visual improvements. They have changed some of the battery chemistry depending on the model. They have done stuff like heat pumps, right? But the basic car, which most folks see going down the road, is the same.
Now, Tesla did something brilliant, which was actually take $7,500 off the price of their Model 3 and the Model Y. And the reason they did that was because at the beginning of 2023, the new legislation goes into effect that gives $7,500 tax credits to electric cars when they meet certain requirements, but those requirements have not yet been fully vetted, right? So we don't know what they are. So I think the latest guidance from the U.S. government was that until March, any electric car, I believe, sold in America will qualify for that $7,500. So instead of waiting for the new year, Tesla basically took that money and gave it to their customers, which was brilliant.
And then, of course, we come to the Model Y, right? And I just confirmed on Wikipedia, started production in the beginning of 2020. Now, the Model Y is the most recent of the Tesla products, but even in the last 2 years, that market has become very, very saturated with models like the Ford Mustang Mach-E, the Ioniq 5, the Kia EV6, the Volkswagen ID4, right? This is a very, very highly competitive segment, this small crossover space. And Tesla's really going to have to do something to keep their products fresh, and they're just not really doing that, especially with the S, the X, and the 3.
So if Mr. Musk is listening to this podcast,
which he's not.
I heard he watches. I was just reading a story where he watches YouTube videos while at meetings. So if you're watching this, I'll give you some advice from the experience I've had. First and foremost, put some buttons back in your cars. Really, put some buttons and some real tactile controls. I think we are over the fact that everything is now screen controlled. Congratulations, it was brilliant when you did it 12 years ago. Now people want to go back to physical buttons. So if you want to capture the market, go back to buttons. Number 2, take a page from the traditional I was going to say legacy, but they're roaring back, manufacturers, and actually do more than 6 paint colors. Start doing some special editions. Give people a reason to be excited to purchase a Model X, a Model S, as opposed to just giving them a white interior, a black interior, and 6 exterior colors, right? You need to have special editions. This has been done. This is well established, and it's a great way to drive excitement and sales. Other tips you would give Tesla, Tommy?
Yeah, I think that the big thing that they need to do, and I know a while ago Elon said he'd never do it, and then he actually ended up doing it anyways, but refreshes are really very important. And there's a reason that companies do it either every 2 years or every 4 years, but really nowadays, a lot of manufacturers are doing it every couple of years, is to do an exterior refresh of the vehicle to make it seem new, to make it seem fresh and more relevant to the marketplace. You got to give the current Tesla customers a reason to upgrade their 2018 3s to a 2023 or 2024 Model 3, because currently the cars just aren't that different enough to justify the added expense, especially if you look at like an S or an X, right? They did have some light refreshes recently. They got the yoke, they got some slight changes here and there, but they didn't really do enough, especially to the outside, to draw in, I think, a new customer or return customer.
And my biggest bit of advice, and I hate giving unsolicited advice, but here we are doing it, would be to get a great PR department back at Tesla. Look, I understand that Mr. Musk feels that his Twitter account is his PR department, but there's a reason that manufacturers for the last 100 years have had PR departments, and that isn't because they've wanted to sell more cars by doing happy-go-lucky stories. It's because when the tables turn and things go bad or they go south, like they have for Tesla recently, they can get a different storyline out there in the media. But since Mr. Musk is no longer has a PR department at Tesla, there is no other storyline to be told but that storyline which we're telling, which is the stock is down, factories are shutting down, and if you had a PR department, you could actually try to convince us journalists that maybe there's something else going on, or just actually answer questions so that when we have questions there'd be somebody to call so that we could tell your side of the story, which would be something we would love to do. But since there's no longer a PR department, it's just going to be one side of the story. I think you brought up the Cybertruck, Tommy. Let's talk about that.
Well, this is a vehicle that would be a really, really, really big hit to the company, I think, if they can ever get it into production. This debuted a few years ago now, but the Tesla Cybertruck would really be a vehicle that would add some freshness and some excitement back into the Tesla nameplate. It's been promised, it's been delayed, and we need to see it into production. It'd be fresh, it'd be new, it'd be exciting, it'd be something out of the norm.
And here's something that is also a potential dark cloud on the horizon for Tesla. Now, when PR departments were still around, I got a chance to ride in that, and I was very impressed by it. I thought it was really cool and innovative, a little dystopian, but that was the times we were living in when that truck came out. But the thing that worries me a little bit is when it rolled out, they took $100 reservations, and the beginning price of that was, guess how much? $39,000. Now, Ford had a similar strategy with the Lightning Pro, and that truck has increased in the last year by $16,000. It came out of $41,000, and now I think the latest version of the Pro is up to $56,000 or $57,000. And I think people are going to be certainly sticker shock when they see what the beginning or entry level price of that is, because I very much doubt, and once again, if we could ask the PR department, we would, if they're still planning on keeping a $39,000 entry level price on that truck. I doubt it, Tommy. If it were my guess, and I can do that here, I think that's going to start at $69,000, if not more.
Well, let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is Tesla in trouble? Is it just a little lull in their history? But as always, this has been Tommy.
And Roman. And remember, go to TFLbids.com, where we're selling our Porsche 944, Tommy.
That's right, yeah. So we got some cool vehicles up there, definitely worth taking a look. TFLbids.com for all your cool and unusual vehicle sales needs.
See you next time. Ciao.